The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus went into the region of Caesarea Philippi, and he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others Elijah, still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter said in reply, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus said to him in reply, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my heavenly Father. And so I say to you, you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." Then he strictly ordered his disciples to tell no one that he was the Christ. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Jesus was not too concerned with public opinion, but he was interested in it. He wanted to know what people thought of him and his teachings. It wasn't mere curiosity, but more of a way to measure the effectiveness of his work and his preaching. His mission to the Jews was coming to an end. His days were numbered. He would no longer be there to preach the good news. And he needed to know if anyone had heard his message and understood it. So he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that I am?" Their response must have been painfully disappointing to him. It was clear the people had no idea of who he actually was. Some thought he was John the Baptist, come back to life. Some thought he was Jeremiah, the prophet, or maybe Elijah. So Jesus turned to his disciples and asked them the same question, thinking that surely these men have gotten the right idea. "And who do you say I am?" That was the real issue then, and it still is today. Who is Jesus to you? Is he just a person out of the Bible? A person from history like Julius Caesar or Napoleon? Or maybe, just maybe, is he a living person today who makes a difference in your life? Ask yourself this question. Would your life be any different today if you found out that Jesus was not the Son of God, nor the Messiah, but just a nice guy who lived 2,000 years ago? We don't have any problem with Jesus of Nazareth when we read about him in the New Testament and all the wonderful things that he said and did 2,000 years ago. But to think that he has anything to do with my daily life today, that idea rarely enters our minds. We also have no problem accepting Jesus in the future. He's the one who's going to welcome me into his kingdom, if I'm lucky. But that is all rather vague to us, as no one has ever died and come back to tell us about Jesus. So it is easy to believe in Jesus in the future. Our question now is, what about right here and now? That's the question he puts to his disciples in the gospel, and I think he puts that same question to each of us this morning. Who do you say that I am? Jesus is not interested in what you've read about him, what you dream about him, or what others say about him. He wants to know about you, and what do you think this morning? Today is our test of faith. What do you really believe? How strong is your faith, and in what and who? We have the New Testament to look back on to help us in our understanding. Peter did not. He saw the miracles, and so do we, every time we come to Mass. We accept that Jesus Christ is present under the form of bread and wine, and that's a miracle. It's no harder for each of us to believe than it was for Peter. Peter was the only one with the right answer. You are the Messiah, the Anointed One, the Christ, the Son of God. What's your answer? If you know who Jesus is now in your life, and not just in the past or the future, then you know really who you are and why you live here on Mercer Island in the year 2017. What you see in Jesus is what you and I can be. Jesus, the person, with all of his good qualities, is what each of us should strive to be. He called us brothers. He called us children of God. He may be Son of God, but he's just as human as each one of us. Because Peter truly believed, Jesus made him the head of his church, the leader. Now look at yourself. You are most likely a leader of some kind. Father, mother, senior, some position of authority in the family, or where you work or go to school. How do you handle that authority? Like Jesus handled his? If you were to put Peter to the test today for a leadership position, he would flunk it, definitely. He wouldn't pass. His natural qualities were not there, but his faith was. And that is what Jesus is looking for in any leader. If you act like Jesus, speak like Jesus, and Jesus is really alive in your life, then you will be a true Christian and a good leader. Jesus Christ will be able to work in you and through you. But before he can do that, he has to be alive in you. Can Jesus say to you, like he did to Peter, you are a happy man because of your faith? So this week, ponder and think about that question. Who do you say that I am? The answer to that question can make all the difference in your world, and it can give real meaning to your life.